In this video, I am going to give you a look inside my brain, sort of, in the form of a SPECT scan. It helps reveal some strengths and weaknesses about the brain in terms of overactivity and underactivity, or increased blood flow and decreased blood flow. This is my video vlog about my trip to the Amen Clinic. I'm going to share my experience through the whole process, from the inception of having the idea of going to the Amen Clinic to getting the SPECT scans done on my brain, and the visit with the psychiatrist, the evaluation, and treatment plan. Through their videos and testimonials, the Amen Clinic seems like a magical place where they are able to help almost any patient. Through getting information and history about the patient and coupling that with SPECT scans, they are able to show you what's going wrong in the brain, and then they'll recommend a daily routine, supplements, potentially medication, and other treatments if needed to fix that person's brain, which would result in changed behavior and a promise of a better life and closer to that person's version of normalcy. Was the Amen Clinic able to do that for me? By changing my brain and changing my life. Alright, let's get into it. Hey everyone, Kevin Scrimmer here at Scrimmer Games, and welcome to Gamers Reality. I usually do gaming videos, but this is my vlog video. And for those who are not familiar with my channel, I normally make gaming videos. Lighting's a little off, let me fix that. There we go. That's better. So, as we all know, 2020 was a crazy year for everyone. Virus pandemic hits, had to work from home, got furloughed, then eventually laid off. My relationship ended with my girlfriend, had to deal with being home with the family all the time. For me, the year really started with me sliding down a very steep slope, followed by me trying to improve my life every single way I can. And it's hard to improve your life and hard to just live day by day if your brain isn't working the right way for you. And I think this pandemic really forced me to deal with what was going on with my brain. I just felt like there was so many mental health issues going on. I do remember feeling really lonely. I remember feeling very depressed. And I didn't know it at the time. I also had some anxiety. I really felt like I didn't have control of myself. I was kind of like self-medicating whatever was going on with me. I definitely weighed more than I currently weigh now. When the pandemic started, I was unable to visit my girlfriend even though we were both being very safe. In fear of either one of us passing the virus to our family member or the family member passing it on to one of us. And all of a sudden, the days felt like they were going by very fast. I was falling back into some unhealthy coping mechanisms, and I've had a few mental health issues in high school and college as well, mainly depression. And without the busyness and speediness and routine of work and life, I think it really revealed some of my mental health issues, or at least they revealed themselves. I was dealing with compulsions for coping, and at one point I was fighting every day to just live normally. It is very difficult to explain, but basically I was unable to live carpe diem. I could enjoy some of the day, but not all of it. So I found different ways to try and make myself better. I can't say certain words because it's YouTube, but you can look at my past videos. I partook in No F for 30 days. I was jogging every day, working out pretty much every other day, and in that time I got extremely healthy. Plus my family were cooking healthy foods. But even though I was doing these things, I still felt like there was something wrong. It's as if my brain was scattered. It's as if my brain was controlling me, or something in my brain was controlling it. Or I was acting and behaving based on my mood, instead of just going about my day and determining my own mood. I would say I was definitely in a state of hopelessness, and I remember thinking, how much longer am I going to live like this? How much longer is my life going to be like this? And I was really researching mental health issues at the time. I remember looking into bipolar, which my mom has, which means I can potentially have it. And after reading more about bipolar, the more it seemed to fit. It seemed like I had some type of mood disorder. Some days I had like high highs, felt invincible, energetic, felt like I could do anything, but I really couldn't focus it. And some days, very low lows, couldn't do anything, couldn't get out of bed for a while, and basically my mood would cycle multiple times on and off, usually that same day. Sometimes I would have a good day, maybe a good few days, then it would maybe turn into a bad day or a bad few days. And I was watching some TED Talks on my smart TV, and then there was a TED Talk by Dr. Amen for the Amen Clinic, all about his brain SPECT imaging, some of the patient cases, the diagnosis, and how they improved after just seemed incredible. And I remember thinking, wow, this is so cool. This makes so much sense. And the more I looked into it, the more I thought, okay, if I get myself help, this is where I wanted to be from. I know there was something wrong and I wanted to figure out what it was. So I kept looking into it. I watched the videos. I looked into the website. A lot of the testimonials were impressive. And I remember thinking, I don't want to let myself get in the way of me living a good life. Or I don't want my brain to be in the way of letting me live a good life. If other people are causing issues, fine, that's life. But I don't want it to be me or my brain in the way of me having a good day or living a good life. So I thought about it for a while. And by the way, their service is not cheap. You can try to get reimbursed through health insurance, but usually doesn't cover it. I also wasn't on health insurance at the time, pandemic, no job, saving money. Their service for a full SPECT scan, concentration scan, and resting scan, along with the psychiatrist visit, treatment, etc., could cost up to $4,000. With a discount, you can get it down to $3,500, about. Of course, that doesn't cover the cost of driving there, hotel, medicine, supplements, etc. So, one day I went to the park in the parking lot, thought about it, and I gave them a call. Scheduled an appointment, felt relieved I was doing something to begin to help myself, and I patiently waited for that day. So if you email them on their website, they'll send you a bunch of information, links to videos, newsletter to sign up for, PDFs about SPECT scans, and how they can help. And then they'll send you an online intake questionnaire to fill out. It can take about 40 minutes to an hour, depending how detailed you are. It's basically very detailed information about you, your family. I remember it being difficult just because I was being so careful and detailed in my answers because I wanted them to have as much information as possible to help me. Then the second is a web neuro, basically a bunch of different games that reveal stuff about you and your brain, and consent forms that you can print out or you can just fill them out at the clinic. So the first day there'll be a pre-check for 30 minutes and the first scan. They'll do the concentration scan first. Then the next day they'll do a resting scan. Then there'll be a history appointment with a phone call. Then there will be an evaluation by the psychiatrist. It can either be done in person or through video. Of course, during this pandemic, everybody was wearing masks there, and I did mine through video because I live far away. And if you do choose video, they'll send you a link where you can join. So the night arrived, I packed everything in my car, and I did the 4-hour drive from Pennsylvania to Virginia to the Virginia-Washington, D.C. location, Amen Clinic. They'll also give you a list of hotels to stay at with a small discount. I chose the Hyatt House Hotel, very nice hotel. I'll show that on screen there, the room. Next day I woke up early, got ready, arrived an hour early. I filled out the consent forms and paperwork. I'll show some pictures on screen. Here's the doors to the Amen Clinic. Here's what the reception room looks like. Very nice, clean reception area. And they have some nice posters, I guess you can say, on the wall. Which brain do you want? And it shows the various types of brains based on what that person is doing to themselves. So if you see somebody doing drugs like marijuana, smoking, drinking, etc., you can see on screen what it does to their brain in terms of blood flow and activity. Things like that, including exercise, how you eat, how you take care of yourself, etc. Any head injuries is going to change the blood flow or activity in your brain. There's Brain Fit, 50 ways to grow your brain. Number 1, love your brain. You can also pause it or take a screenshot. This is a very nice little chart on how to keep your brain healthy. Know your reasoning, assess your brain, have an abundance mindset, drink lots of water, do coordination exercises, learn something new to work your brain, have a healthy weight, mindful music, protect your brain, don't drink alcohol or do drugs, eliminate high glycemic, low fiber, pesticide sprayed food-like substances, limit sugar, gluten, and corn, avoid hormones, antibiotics, and pesticides in food, feed your brain great food, limit screen time, Exercise, sleep 7 to 8 hours, manage your stress, never know it's too late to change your brain, organic green tea, dark chocolate daily, low glycemic, high fiber foods, more fruits and vegetables equals more happiness, healthy fats, healthy proteins, daily 12-hour fast, brain healthy supplements, multiple vitamins, omega-3s, targeted supplements for your brain type. And there's a few more posters of someone who had depression and anxiety. There's the room where you would sit at a desk and complete a concentration test. Basically, certain letters would show on screen, and there's a certain letter where you do not press the space bar, but every time you see another letter, you press the space bar. So I'm a highly sensitive person in general. I'm a hypersensitive introvert. I also think I have either mild autism or mild Asperger's based on things I've seen and read. And I don't like shots. I don't like the idea of shots or the idea of external fluid going through my body. So they gave me a shot with that radioactive fluid, let it settle while I did the test, then we went into the room, I laid down, and the machine went around my head, performing the SPECT scan, and the next day, did the same thing except no test, and they scanned my brain at rest. It almost felt like a normal doctor visit, mainly the shot part, I guess, but I guess receiving the SPECT scan and the reception room did feel different. So I went home, awaited my results. I was really excited to, see what was going on with my brain, what was overactive, what was underactive. I ordered the supplements they recommended, and I'm like, oh, I just want all this now. I want to be better now. Because I felt pretty good during this trip, surprisingly. Different environment, different setting, different priorities, etc. It was a very nice area. And basically all that time, my days kind of felt like sand falling through my hands. I felt like I was trying to get a hold of myself and my life, but couldn't. And my days in life kind of just felt like sand constantly falling out of my hands, like I'm trying to hold on to it and keep it, but no matter how hard I try, I can't. Or another analogy, like I'm trying to make a sandcastle out of wet sand, but no matter what I do, it just keeps falling apart, it's deformed, it's just not working. So my appointment for the Zoom video call arrived, and here comes the fun part where I can show you my brain and the report. Well, some of it. So she said I have a nice full brain. She told me it's a nice smooth brain and a big brain. She told me, Kevin, you have big brain. I'm teasing. She did say I have a nice full brain, but I don't think big brain is in her vernacular. If it were, I'm sure she would have told me I have big brain. That joke was too good to not include. But yeah, you can now officially call my brain big, full, or smooth. Anyway. So, here is my brain. Oh, and I wanted to mention, though my appointment was later in the day, there were people in the reception area, a few people at the clinic, just normal, everyday people. Both days I went there. So yeah, there are people going through this process every day, getting their brain scanned and getting help. And there are some famous people and celebrities who have done this as well. There are people who travel from around the world, from other countries, just to go to these clinics. A lot of these people sought help by psychiatrists and other clinics and went through other medications and methods, but it just didn't work for them. Then they'll come to this clinic. I think the Amen Clinic lists 80 to 90% of the time. They help those patients who come to the clinic. Anyway, let's talk about my brain. So the left picture is the resting scan. Right there you can see some blood flow loss in the right temporal lobe. You can see another one there. And temporal lobes deal with memory, reading comprehension, irritability, moodiness, and suicidal. All of which was accurate for me. And then here's a concentration scan showing another loss of blood flow there. And the color of the brain is not what matters. The smoothness is what matters, the shape, etc. Now, she did mention if you do look at the sides of my brain, like here, she did mention that the temporal lobes, or the sides of my brain here, kind of look swollen or flared up, possibly associated with traumatic head injury, which I've had some in the past. When I was 3, I hit my head off the corner of a table, had to get stitches. I still have a scar on my forehead. 6th grade, got pushed into a wall, had a huge red bump on my head. Some other minor ones. In college, a friend was driving and he crashed his car and my head banged hard off the airbag, and I was just in a daze. So she said that could be associated with traumatic brain injury, but it seemed like there was nothing really significant that indicated traumatic brain injury, which I was surprised with. And she said the right temporal is associated with deja vu, auditory verbal hallucinations, and problems. Not sure what this one is. But in 9th grade, I did have auditory verbal hallucinations, and I do have a lot of deja vu, mainly in relationships. So all this that they point out is true. The auditory stuff, that went away on its own, fortunately. And yeah, I've had some suicidal thoughts. For people who are depressed, it is kind of normal to have them as long as you don't actually act on them and plan them. When I do have one, when I'm in a deep depression, typically it's, let me just say, me putting a toy gun to my head, which is why I don't own any toy guns. And here's another version. The left is the resting, the right is the concentration. The blue is normal activity, normal blood flow, and I believe the red is overactivity, over blood flow, and the white is underactivity, I believe. Here's the anterior cingulate, which makes people oppositional. That might be argumentative there. They're good finders, have OCD, and they get stuck. So I guess as an introvert, when I am oppositional, I'm introvert about it. I'm not really extroverted oppositional. I'm just more tense, no eye contact oppositional, I guess. But it did reveal one weakness, the OCD, the getting stuck. Basically, whatever activity I'm in, such as this video, I get stuck in it. So if I'm writing a book, making a video, exercising, once I'm in the activity or once I have those thoughts, I get stuck. I basically get tunnel vision, which is true. I remember in 11th grade when I was working, one of my coworkers said I get tunnel vision. And here's the basal ganglia, which is involved with anxiety, panic, muscle tension, tics, and addictions, which all was true. I don't know about the tics, but so these areas were more lit up in concentration, and they were less lit up in resting, but they were still lit up. And the thalamus, associated with sadness, hopelessness, isolation, libido, sleep, appetite problems. Again, all true, without me having to say anything. I did have a lot of anxiety. I was struggling with compulsion addiction. I did have a lot of sadness and hopelessness and isolation. My libido was insane. I've had sleep problems, mainly getting to sleep regardless of how many hours I sleep. My body can just go unless I settle myself down. And that kind of goes with getting stuck in the OCD. And then you can see this diamond shape right here. That is commonly associated with emotional trauma or PTSD. So even though I've had some near-death experiences, I really wouldn't say they were as traumatic as my relationships, I guess. And people can get PTSD or emotional trauma from a lot of things. It could be as simple as breakups. And I didn't realize it at the time, but yeah, there was one breakup during college, undergrad, where it gave me PTSD. And then I think my most recent breakup kind of exacerbated it. And in general, I kind of do get stuck in thoughts or images. Like my mind is very creative, very vivid, especially with the imagination. So when it happens, it can make a very clear image, like right in front of my face, as if I'm looking at it, of a whole different world. It could be something made up, something based on life that it kind of like does a simulation scenario of, or a memory. And I've had loads of vivid dreams this summer of relationships, work, family, all kinds of things. I had one about a popular YouTuber, PewDiePie, for whatever reason. We were all hanging out. And then I had another one where Pokemon were real, but I was being hunted down. So I have a very, very vivid imagination. And the melatonin I take, 5 milligrams, probably helps stir up those vivid dreams, I guess. So sometimes it can be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. Like I remember one night, probably for 2 hours or more, it was just a string of bad memories, bad scenarios, negative thoughts, ants, automatic negative thoughts. It was just a train of them. And I was crying probably for like at least 2 hours. And I couldn't sleep. So basically, to me, what this indicates is an emotional brain, depression, anxiety, a mood disorder, sort of OCD, emotional trauma, PTSD. Here's a clearer image with no scribbles, and I'll show a few more. Here's the other one. These are both base scans. And here are the concentration scans. And basically, all the blood flow and activity in the brain should be in the back. If there's activity elsewhere, like around the sides, the middle, the front, that's typically not good. Because the back of your brain controls the front of your brain, which is what the one image showed with the arrow. This part of your brain controlling this part, and this part controlling this area. And then here is the other concentration scan. Here is some of the Web Neuro brain health score, 4.3. I was below in flexibility, below in emotional bias, below in depressed mood level, below in positivity negativity bias and social capacity. Here's a part of my final evaluation. You can see my name right there, the date. So I'll share the findings, diagnosis, and conclusions. The other parts are kind of personal, I guess. Shows the SPECT study parameters, SPECT study findings. Brain SPECT imaging basically shows us 3 things: areas of the brain that work well, areas of the brain that work too hard, and areas of the brain that do not work hard enough. With this information, together with the clinical information obtained through our extensive history-taking process, psychometric testing, and clinical evaluation, we are able to develop a more comprehensive, effective, and integrated treatment plan. SPECT scans help the brain physiology underlying. The most significant findings are a mild diamond pattern of limbic activity, more pronounced with concentration, with the exception of the moderately increased activity seen in the focal left region of the thalamus in both studies, mildly decreased activity in the left inferior orbit of the prefrontal cortex and inferior left temporal lobe, more pronounced at rest in the inferior right temporal lobe with concentration, are accompanied by mildly decreased internal cerebellar activity at rest that is rated moderate with concentration. Diamond patterns seen on limbic activity, increased left and right focal thalamic tracer activity on both studies, more intense with concentration. Increased left and right basal ganglia tracer activity, more intense with concentration. Increased tracer activity in the anterior cingulate gyrus seen on both studies, more intense with concentration. Decreased tracer activity in the inferior orbital prefrontal cortex seen on both studies, more severe at rest. Decreased left temporal lobe tracer activity seen on both studies, more severe at rest. And decreased right temporal lobe tracer activity seen on both studies, more severe with concentration. Decreased internal cerebellar tracer activity seen on both studies, more severe with concentration. And the limbic systems involved in motivation, emotion, learning, and memory. And the function of the basal ganglia is to fine-tune the voluntary movements. They do so by receiving the impulses for the upcoming movement from the cerebral cortex, which they process and adjust, including control of voluntary motor movements, procedural learning, habit learning, eye movements, cognition, and emotion. I can try to get into that, but not a neurologist. So, one or more head injuries, mental health, bipolar, trauma, prevent further head injuries, food, eggs, peppermint. Mental health, kill the ants, which I gotta do. Meditation. I've been meditating. It feels like it definitely helps out for sure. Really relaxes me, helps me concentrate and do things. Meditation helps exercise your prefrontal cortex. Exercise does the same thing. Foods, wild fish, 8 servings of fruits and vegetables, chocolate. I had the pleasure of meeting Kevin today. We discussed how near-death experiences, mood dysregulation, and head trauma have impacted your level of functioning and outlook on life. We see evidence of mildly reduced blood to the inferior prefrontal cortex, the left temporal lobe. These changes could be related to physical or external trauma. Want to evaluate the possibility of Lyme disease or another medical illness? The temporal lobes in the surface view help with regulating mood as well as memory. The prefrontal cortex helps with focus, concentration, and attention, which is what I was having issues with. On your active view, we reduced cerebellar activity. The cerebellum regulates motor coordination and balance and needs to be intensely active. However, you have too much activity in your limbic system, which are the emotional centers of your brain. And yes, my brain has been very emotional, and I do have an emotional brain in general. You have a diamond pattern of activity, which correlates with emotional trauma, or PTSD. There's overactivity in your basal ganglia, which are the areas of the brain that regulate anxiety. We want these areas to be calmer so they can work more efficiently. Complete a lab test, blood work, exercise, the Neuralink, Neurovite Plus, lithium orotate, and omega-3 supplements, which I will talk about. Sleep hygiene, try to get ready for bed, practicing cursive writing, EMDR, eye movement desensitization, and reprocessing is a 6-stage process that removes the emotional charge or valiance from difficult memories. And it's combined with a technology, bilateral stimulation, that has been shown to have a calming effect. Find an EMDR therapist. Let's find a good cognitive behavioral therapist, CBT, who can shift that negativity bias. Correcting these faulty perceptions and depression-based thinking could change your life. Diagnosis current, F31.9, bipolar disorder unspecified, G47.33, obstructive sleep apnea, mild, Z87.820, personal history of traumatic brain injury, 40.11, social phobia, generalized. So, in an email, she basically said, I'm not officially diagnosing you with bipolar disorder yet, but I'm diagnosing you with bipolar disorder, which kind of doesn't make sense, I guess. I mean, I know what I'm like, so I diagnosed myself with it. She did say I have some type of mood disorder, definitely at least depression and anxiety, if not bipolar, but I would say bipolar. I'll probably make a second video showing how much I improved, or if there's at least consistent improvement. Here's the supplements. Neurovite Plus, a great multivitamin that provides more than 50 nutrients and plant extracts selected for optimal absorption and utilization to nourish and protect the body's cells, tissues, and organs, designed to enhance brain, vision, and other organ functions, assist digestion, provide antioxidant support, and otherwise promote optimal health. Omega-3 fatty acid is highly concentrated in ultra-purified fish oils, a highly potent source of omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, which are essential building blocks for cell membranes, and also essential for the brain's nerve cell connections. EPA and DHA provide crucial support for healthy memory, attention, and other cognitive functions, healthy mood, and for a calm and controlled demeanor, as well as for healthy development and maintenance of the brain and cardiovascular systems. Omega-3 has been shown to be helpful for brain healing repair, has direct antidepressant benefit, and is good for cardiovascular functioning. The brain is 60% fat. All of our 100 billion nerve cells are lined in essential fatty acids. Low levels of omega-3s have been found in ADD, depression, and dementia. Omega-3 fatty acids taken at a dosage of 2,000 to 6,000 mg daily can be a beneficial augmentation for mood stabilization and cognitive repair. Good fat sources, bad fat sources. Neuralink. This supplement provides a select combination of nutrients that the brain naturally requires to make key neurotransmitters such as adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, GABA, glutamate, and serotonin. Neuralink helps promote positive outlook and relaxation, helps cope with occasional feelings of anxiety, and supports the brain and adrenals to cope with stress. And lithium orotate. It's an ultra-pure, safe, and well-absorbed dietary source of lithium. The orotate part of the molecule delivers lithium to the body in its biochemically active form. The positively charged lithium ion orotate occurs naturally in our diet and is also routinely made in the body. Higher lithium levels in drinking water have been linked to better self-control. Higher lithium blood levels are linked to lower incidences of self-harm. Dietary supplementation with low-dose lithium promotes healthy mood, sociability, and self-esteem. Another benefit is that low-dose lithium supplementation supports cognitive function in the elderly. Basically, it is useful for people with bipolar, depression, compulsion issues, basal ganglia. Yoga and Tai Chi soothe overactivity in basal ganglia and calm anxiety. Temporal lobe can be reduced through aerobic coordination activities that involve music. Basal ganglia, deep relaxation, hand-warming techniques, meditation, breathing, cerebellum, dancing, table tennis, martial arts, handwriting, or calligraphy. Some recommended readings: To Find a Life or Executive Coach, apps like Calm or Headspace for meditating, and that is the report. Does not indicate a problem with impulsivity, do not indicate a problem with inattentiveness. Overall, results do not suggest that Kevin has attention deficits such as ADHD. Does not indicate a problem with sustained attention. Well, that's kind of blah. Time to show the medications, or the supplements rather, which act as medication sort of. Neuralink supports emotional and behavioral health. Vitamin B6, L-tyrosine, I might mispronounce some of these, and I don't care about looking them up because this video is already really long. GABA, L-glutamine, L-taurine, 5-HTP. A proper balance of neurotransmitters is essential for optimal health of mind and body. Neuralink provides a select combination of nutrients that the brain naturally requires to produce key neurotransmitters such as adrenaline, noradrenaline, dopamine, GABA, glutamate, and serotonin. Supports healthy balance of brain chemistry, promotes positive outlook and relaxation, helps cope with occasional feelings of anxiety, supports the brain and adrenals to cope with stress. We have the lithium orotate. I got the blur on, so it's a little bit blurry. Helps with increased well-being and self-control. For those with bipolar, lithium helps a lot with controlling those highs and lows and those cycles. And it's a pretty significant difference. The Noravite has a lot more stuff in general. It has things that the one-a-day vitamins don't have. So I did compare to see. And then here's the omega-3 power. Provides essential building blocks for brain cell connections, promotes healthy cognitive functioning, enhances healthy mood and other psychological well-being, supports healthy brain and cardiovascular aging. Some people take vitamins, some people don't. Would at least recommend vitamins and omega-3. So the first day I took Neuralink and the lithium orotate, I felt a difference for about an hour or so that night. I think I'm about 2 weeks in, and I've noticed a change. My brain feels more stable. I feel much more calm. I feel like I'm not having those high highs and low lows as much. I'm having less depressive and sadness episodes, and I'm feeling less anxious. And I think the lithium orotate has helped as well in terms of self-control. I feel like I don't have my compulsions as much. I feel like I have more control over things. So in combination of these 4 supplements, I feel like they have helped. It is a noticeable difference. I do feel more normal. I do feel more me. I kind of do feel like how I did, I guess, when I felt normal in college, some of middle school and high school, and when I was a kid. So I'm kind of able to relate how these make my brain feel to how I felt when I was younger. I've already been exercising, I've already been eating pretty well, healthily, and I've been starting to meditate more, which I also think has helped. So I am going to follow their suggestions, and I think there will be a significant improvement. I've already felt a noticeable improvement. I feel a lot more centered, feel a lot more normal, and I feel like I can do things again. I feel like I can partake in my hobbies, do whatever I put my mind to. I've been using my phone less. I've been feeling emotionally well. My emotions aren't holding me back anymore with what I want to do. My behavior doesn't feel like it's dictated by my emotions anymore. So say I'm feeling depressed or sad, I go to the gym not to be healthy, but just to get those feel-good chemicals that might last for an hour. Or I jog, not to be healthy, just to feel better emotionally for a little bit. That's what was going on before. Now I feel like my emotions aren't dictating my activity, or my activity is dictating my emotions. I feel like I can just go out and exercise because I enjoy it, because I want to do it, because it feels good, because it's nice. So starting to feel a lot better. She did recommend a medication if I feel that I needed it, but I think with how the supplements are and everything, I don't think I'm going to need it. I mean, I was kind of nervous at first. I'm like, what if I'm just going crazy? What if there's nothing wrong with me and I'm just me? Which some of that might be true, but I do feel like these supplements have definitely helped. If it's a placebo effect, it's quite the amazing placebo effect. So far, these kind of felt like magic in a bottle. At one point, I was definitely worried that they were not going to be able to help me. I guess regardless what I've seen and heard about Amen clinics, and it seems like they're going to save my brain and save my life, which is why I will be making a second video, much shorter, just to go over, did Amen clinic helped me? How have I improved? What do I think helped? And I did want to show a few other things really quick. This is just something I found. This was a case of the week. Jeff, bipolar disorder. Now, my brain doesn't look half like that. This person was way worse. He had head traumas, unhealthy diet, abused virtually every available street drug, had PTSD, depression, anxiety, ADD. The anterior cingulate system, I think mine was overactive as well. So getting stuck on things like addictions. Limbic system was overactive, which mine was as well. The deeper emotional areas of the brain, suggesting serious depression or a bipolar disorder. He had a diamond pattern on SPECT, which we often see in those with PTSD, which I also had. Follow-up 3 months after the Amen Clinic evaluation. His anxiety melted away, his depression was really significantly reduced, mood cycles were much less of a problem. He said the progress was amazing and that he was extremely happy. Mother called saying she was happy with everything that was done. Jeff used to sit on the bed all day doing nothing. Now he works 40 hours a week. And that's kind of what I was worried about as well with what was going on with my brain. I'm like, I can't function with no schedule. I feel like I can't function if I had a job. But now I feel like I can function working. Before, I don't think I could have done it. Now I can do it. Probably do it much easier than before. Here's their website. Let's go to depression. So I didn't get a very specific diagnosis like they said or like their website claims, like you have this type of this depression and anxiety, you have this type of bipolar disorder, you have this type of trauma or whatever. So my next appointment, I'll try and get clarification of that. Then there's an image of just pure depression right there. Post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'll also ask for clarification on if it's emotional trauma, PTSD. I mean, I personally think there's PTSD involved. You can see that diagonal pattern which I had on my brain. And there's bipolar. It has this diamond part, which is what I had, and some back here, but I didn't really have things going on the side of my brain like that. There's anxiety. And there's just brain optimization in general. Oh, here's emotional trauma. Same thing. Lyme disease. No. Mania and hypomania. Which all of this really matched with what was going on with me. The connection between lack of sleep and mania goes both ways, with each exacerbating the other. High energy levels, inflated self-esteem, abnormally elevated mood, increased goal-oriented activity, increased talking or pressured speech. Don't have that. Racing thoughts, not really. I had that. I do marital conflict and relationship issues. Acting impulsively can be signs of trouble in the area of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. So exercise, meditating, the supplements kind of help with that. PFC is responsible for planning, forethought, judgment, focus, attention, and impulse control. And I definitely feel like I had issues concentrating, focusing, things like that. Being oppositional, being stubborn, holding on to grudges, or saying no all the time may indicate dysfunction in the brain's anterior cingulate gyrus. I don't have issues with that. OCD, which we saw some of in my brain scan. Alright, so yeah, that's, I think, everything that I wanted to go over. As you can probably tell by this video, I am very detail oriented. Like I said, once I'm in an activity, I get stuck. Before I was doing this activity, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to make a video. I don't know if I can do this tonight. Then I got rid of those automatic negative thoughts and I'm like, I can do this. I can make this video. And I'm like, okay, this will be short. This will be like maybe a half hour. And now this video is like over 2 hours and I have to edit it. And I wanted this to be detailed because it is an expensive procedure. I want to be able to look back on this video. I want other people who are considering going to the Amen Clinic to have something to go off of, because there's a lot of people considering it, watching videos to see if they want to go there, things like that. So I kind of wanted to give my experience outside of their own testimonials. So far, my short thought about it, expensive, but surprisingly, and I mean that by just like taking all these supplements, seems to help. I do feel like once I implement some of these changes in my routine, I'll have my life back and The rest will be up to me. So if you managed to watch this entire video, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I worked hard on it to make sure it would be interesting. So please, if you can, drop a like on the video. It means a lot. That way the YouTube algorithm will let people know that this video is helpful in some way. And comment, let me know what you think. Have you gone to the Amen Clinic? Have you considered going? What is your perspective on my situation from the outside? And if you want, feel free to click that subscriber button. You'll be able to catch my second video of this for the Amen Clinic. And I do make lots of other entertaining and interesting videos, mainly gaming videos, that you can check out. Feel free to scroll down on the video section of my channel. By the way, a lot of their testimonials are really good. Oh no, I kind of related the most with Doug here, traumatic brain injury, addiction, and depression. But yeah, they have done some pretty incredible things. There's even one story about a kid who had a cyst in his brain. He was always angry. People just thought he was a naturally angry kid. But once the cyst was removed, he became a normal kid. So a lot of the activity in the brain, overactivity, underactivity of blood flow, can really shape a person's behavior. So sometimes it's not a character flaw, it's just that there's something going wrong in the brain and it needs fixed so the person can live a normal life again. Again, please like, comment, subscribe, and share the video if you'd like so other people can check it out. And click that bell icon to stay notified of new videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Peace.